everyone, welcome back to another Friday and another casual champion review. Today, this is the third attempt at playing Diano, because the first two times were, not been a good day. I didn't even think I was going to be able to play today, because last night I was doing some work on the computer after I just came down from dinner, and I noticed that my hands had gone numb. Like as if, you know, when your leg falls asleep or something, like the pins and needles stuff. And I know that's weird. And it didn't go away for 4 hours. So I was concerned. So I went to go to the doctor today. I'm okay, though. I'm good. I was hoping that it was going to be nothing serious. Like I was hoping it wasn't going to be that I was having a stroke or that it was my tendonitis had developed a full-on carpal tunnel. But no, just pinched a nerve or something. We're all good. You know what else is all good? Fan art section. There's not many this time comparative. I mean, just look at how much was in Cho'Gath or even Corki compared to how much is Diana. But I get that. Diana's not the most interesting of characters, and probably for the fellas who are doing this challenge, unofficial challenge, it wasn't really ever set up. But I don't disagree. People probably want to skip a week sometimes. But thank you for the fellas who did. You're awesome. Alright, so Diana, the better of the two lovers, Diana and Leona, are confirmed canon now. If I was making this video probably 3 years ago, that wouldn't be the case. It would be like Nico Nidalee or TF Graves or any of them gay couples in League of Legends. It was very ambiguous whether or not they were actually together or not, but now we know for sure that they are a couple. Leona and Diana is a bit more of a weird situation because they're more tragic lovers, whereas Nico and Nidalee are kind of... I think they're kind of a thing. Nico's definitely into Nidalee more than Nidalee is Nico. So Diana was orphaned as a wee child and inducted into the Solari and taught the Solari faith. However, she wasn't really all about it. She liked to question things. She liked to delve deeper and understand why the Solari do the things that they do. And the Solari, as any religious cult, I guess, is like, what do you mean you're questioning our faith? So she would often be punished for these rebellious acts, one of them being that she would have to be standing in the sun for 3 days straight with no food, water, or shade. I wonder if that's a metaphor for how the sun is actually harmful and the people who are following the Schultz cult is probably not very good people. Anyway, as she grew older, she found some texts about the Solari faith and discovered that a whole bunch of pages were missing, and in fact, everything and anything surrounding the moon was not included. It would, as if it had been wiped from history. Oh my god, I can't believe that worked. So because of her questioning, she became a bit of an outcast among the Lunari people. Also because, well, she wasn't actually from the Lunari in the first place, so that makes sense. But she would grab the attention of one Leona, who would often debate Diana on her beliefs. Diana's still very set in the way that we should question what the Solari are doing. Why are all these texts missing? There's got to be more to this. But Leona's very steadfast, very believes in the Solari way, and tries to convince Diana to get rid of all these heretic thoughts, I suppose. Neither of each other are able to fully convince one another of their own beliefs, but regardless, they become close friends after a while, despite all this debate. Like that's how conversations and arguments should work. You should make means end, but whatever. And eventually that friendship would start to blossom into love for each other, which would prove to be a bit of a task down the road, because eventually Diana discovered a cove, and this cove had imagery of golden-clad warriors with sun imagery, but also silver-clad warriors with moon imagery, convincing Diana that the Lunari, I guess she didn't know that they were Lunari, but the moon people, I guess, were around at one point, and that they lived in harmony with the sun people. Diana was ecstatic about this, not only to discover that moon people existed, but that they lived in harmony with the Solari, and that they weren't foes. All this stuff about the religious texts removing any trace of the moon people wasn't necessary because there wasn't anything wrong. They were friends before. But of course, telling Leona, who was very stuck in her ways about the Solari being the good people and that any semblance of moon stuff is heresy, doesn't believe her, and in fact tells her that if she started telling other people about it, especially the high priests, that she would probably get punished a lot worse than having to stand out in the sun for 3 days. So Diana, confident in her ways, decides, no, I'm going to prove I need to find answers. I can't find answers here. so I'm gonna climb Mount Targon because that makes sense. And you know, like the climbing Mount Targon has like a 99.99999 chance of failure, but she does it, and she gets to the top, and she is imbued with visions and powers of the moon spirit, or I guess the cosmic god of the moon, and becomes the Aspect. She now has full confirmation that the cult of the moon is real, but Leona followed her up the mountain, and she too was imbued with cosmic power, becoming the Aspect of the sun. For Diana, this is great. She now has confirmation that the moon exists. That's a weird sentence. She now has confirmation that the Lunari exist and that the Solari exist. And now because they're good friends, that means, well, now we both have this power. We can go together. We can show people that these two cults live in harmony with each other. It's gonna be awesome. But Leona is a bigoted asshole. It's like, you know what? No, Leona, no. I'm gonna go back to the Solari. You can spread your heresy elsewhere. And it turns into a big fight. Goes on for a while, erupting in power and explosions with these two people now possessing godlike power. And Leona, or I should say Diana, almost kills Leona, but decides not to. She shows restraint because she doesn't want to kill her friend and lover. So they're kind of star-crossed lovers is the vibe they're going for here. Tragic lovers that are separated due to means of Leona being a jackass. So Diana goes back to the Solari to prove that she is in fact correct about her assumptions all this time, but they denounce her as a heretic and tell her to leave and get out. And she's torn by this, even with proof, right before their very eyes. Nope, not our faith, get out of here. So she leaves to form a Lunari of her very own, find people in a similar faith, and hopefully prove one day that the Solari and the Lunari can live in peace together. I don't really know how that ties into her being an assassin, but I guess ends of the goal to justify the means or something. So her lore is pretty good, so I guess onto her design, I do think she has a bit of a similar problem that Leona has, where Leona is meant to be the big leader of this cult, this big leader of this, very defined, established aesthetic we got in Legends of Runeterra, and Leona doesn't really look like it at all. If you look at any Solari, you can see the difference. But Diana has kind of a similar vibe, where the new aesthetic for the Lunari are more robes, a lot of purples and cyans. Like, look at Aphelios. Aphelios is a perfect example. Although Aphelios is meant to look a bit more ceremonial, whereas Diana is a bit more slender, armored up, because she's meant to be, a person in battle. I think it works for Diana a bit better. I think she is lacking a bit in color. It's something about, just grays. You have to really make silver look like silver, because in League, she's an old character. She came out in, what, I think 2012-ish? I think, actually... Holy shit, wait, what's the date today? Isn't it, her birthday's in August? That was almost her birthday. Man, if I was started Casual Champion Review 1 week earlier than I did, I might have actually been able to have her episode out on her birthday. That would be crazy. We've gotten a couple of alternate takes on Diana over the years, though. We've gotten one from Wild Rift, we got one from Legends of Runeterra. Look out, there's Lux. Should have said that earlier. We've gotten a couple of alternate takes on Diana. We got the Wild Rift one, and we got the Legends of Runeterra one. I am much more partial to Legends of Runeterra's one. They make her armor look almost like stone. Very shiny, metallic looking stone, which is a weird thing to say, but I think it works really well for her. Makes her look like a higher level of importance than the other Lunari, and color scheme wise blends her into the rest of them a lot better. I don't like the Wild Rift one as much, mostly because it is the exact same as the League one, with the exception that on her waist, I don't remember what it's called, the cloth that's there, you know what I'm talking about. It has a bit of gold on it. And Leona is in the exact same boat, where she has a bit of silver on part of her, and that's to kind of signify the partnership, or I guess the relations that they have to each other. But where I think it works with Leona, where her color scheme is mostly gold to have some accents of silver, god damn it, it works really well for her. But for Diana, especially because it's only in one part of her entire getup, it looks really weird. It clashes way too much with her design. I don't like it at all. I feel like Diana is one of those characters where her design serves its function. It does its job. Yeah, it's like a moon-themed assassin lady. It works. It works fine enough. It doesn't wow me. It doesn't inspire me to think of what this character might be or what they do. It's like, yeah, I can see that. It's fine. It's serviceable. We were talking about Darius last week, how the aesthetics of Noxus were kind of warped around him as time went on. Diana is not really the same. The Lunari did develop their own aesthetic independently. Please help me. Same with the Solari, though. In that instance, I'm very happy about it because the Solari, I will hold true to this. I think the Solari have the most badass visual design in most of all of Runeterra. It's so awesome. I need a visual update for Leona where she actually looks like she's from that tribe because it's so cool. So I guess moving on to her abilities and her gameplay, which I don't have a lot to say about Diana, I suppose. I guess she's kind of a very vanilla character. I don't have many thoughts about it. I often forget she exists, to be honest. She's not played very often, except when she's hyper meta, I suppose. But this Q is very cool. I like that it's actually shaped like the moon. That's very... I like when champions' gameplay reflect their character and or like where they come from. It's the same thing with Darius having a bleed move. Like that feels very thematically appropriate. Or Jhin setting down traps. That feels perfectly thematically correct. Just I really like when characters go that extra mile. It's not just a bunch of random abilities thrown together. It feels very nice for Diana. Everyone's got Flash these days. But for the League Zoomers out there, I noticed I said that she came out in I think 2012, maybe 2011. But if you look at her champion spotlight from them, you will notice her kit is very different because she did get a mid-scope before mid-scopes were actually called that. Hers was a bit more drastic than I think some like Swain or Talia are because for her, it's like Tahm Kench. You know, Tahm Kench got his W and his ult swapped. Diana got her E and her ult swapped, except her E didn't used to have that big explosion. It was just a pull-in. I do think this makes a lot more sense, though. As an ult, having just a dash, that's it. It does not feel very impactful. Ul Akali was like that, too, where it was just a like a charge-based system of 3 dashes. It was just point-and-click dash. That's all you did. Oh, not today. So it feels a lot better. The ult feels a lot more impactful than it used to, and that's great. Not the biggest fan of her gameplay, though. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of assassins regardless. Very rare for me will I find an assassin I actually thoroughly enjoy. I think Pyke is one of them because Pyke is so unique and very thematic and just a cool character in general. Like, what's not cool about an undead water ghost pirate guy who goes around collecting everyone's gold? That's awesome. Or I've been getting a bit back into Rengar again lately. He's been fun. But assassins very rarely grab me, and the whole time I played Diana, I had to play her 3 times now. It's not very exciting. It's, I don't know. This auto attack feels very satisfying, though. I will agree with that. The third 3-hit passive, it does make her identity a bit weird, though, because what is she supposed to be? Excuse me. She's like an assassin, fighter, attack speed, melee, burst mage. I don't really know what's happening here. So I feel like making assassins is kind of a tall order, because how do you make all of them feel unique? They all essentially have to do the same thing. They have to be squishy, mobile characters who can dash to a target, do a lot of damage, and get out. Not always the get out part. I think usually that's the sign of a bad assassin like LeBlanc or Katarina or Yasuo or Yone, that they can just get out of any situation after killing them. I prefer assassins who have to take the risk, you know, when Rengar goes in or when even Nefiri goes in, or in case Diana kind of as well. When they go in and they have to deal with the consequences. I like that more. That feels like there's a more risk-reward factor. But then they made Duskblade, so what are you going to do? Lastly, on the topic of her skins, she doesn't have very many. I mean, Winterblessed was very nice. I talked about that in the Winterblessed Rapid Fire skin review. Blood Moon is nice. I just wish she kept the mask on. Riot has a weird thing where the Blood Moon skins for female champions, they refuse to let them keep the mask on. I don't know why. That's like the coolest part of that skin line, but how are you supposed to tell Diana is a woman if you can't see her face? Oh, but see, I was trying to cycle through in my head all of her skins, and then I remembered Sentinel Diana. Does it kind of make sense for her character that she would join that cause? Yeah, maybe. But also, why would Diana need a new blade? Everyone has Flash these days. I get it, that's because it's a new skin, and some players who are solely focused on cosmetics and have no idea what the lore even is will probably look at this skin like, hey, how come you didn't give Diana a new sword for this skin? It's because she doesn't need one. I get that, like, if Vayne or Graves, they're just shooting ghosts and ghouls with regular-ass bullets, it's not gonna work. But Diana has a blade made by the powers of the cosmic entities of the higher level order of the universe. That can't break through a bunch of normal ghouls and ghosts. I think I'm having a stroke just remembering Sentinels of Light. Man, I need to not talk about Sentinels of Light before I go into cardiac arrest again, but man... why did they able to go to the peak of Mount Targon, man? Why were they able to just go up, teleport to the peak of Mount Targon? That defeats the entire purpose. You're supposed to climb it as a symbol of strength. What does that mean you can just teleport to the top of it? Why is... that's probably all I have to say about Diana. Like the last few games, few hundred games, it's ending with a super fed Kai'Sa, so I think this game is going to go downhill rather quick. Final thoughts on Diana, I guess. Decent character, serves her purpose well as a moon warrior assassin. Her lore is very good. I'm very happy they finally made Leona and Diana a canon thing. I always love when they make established friendships or love relationships with champions in League. Makes the world feel a lot more alive, you know? But as for her character, her gameplay and her everything, she's fine. She's serviceable, so... Next week I can talk about a character who I like a little bit more, but I like a lot worse gameplay-wise, and that's Draven. All right, I'll see you next week, fellas.